Welcome back to the 7th Java tutorial, and in today's video we're going to learn how to create objects. Specifically, we're going to create objects by instantiating a class. So before we do this, let's create a new class file and let's name it human. So go into your package explorer, open up Learning Java, open up the source file, and then inside your default package, select new and select class, and we're going to name this human. Now that we're inside of the human class, let's declare a few variables. So just to go over declaring variables, we use the public to say that this variable is accessible by any other object. We use string to declare what type of data this variable will hold, and then we use name as an identifier. So now that we created the human class and we created some variables, let's use them. So let's try and do something cool back in our main method. In order to instantiate this object, the first thing we have to do is declare an object of type human. Now, as you know, when we declare variables, we do something like either string, int, float, double to declare what type of data type it's going to be, followed by the identifier. Now, we can do the same thing when we create objects. So, in this case, the data type for this object will be of type human. And this is the class we just created. So now that we gave it a data type, we have to give it an identifier. And in this case, let's just do me. In declaring that variable to type human, me to type human, we just notified to the Java compiler that we will use the name me to refer to data whose type is human. And this properly reserves the amount of memory that this variable will require. Now we haven't initialized the variable, and you know what that means. It currently has no value, so let's give it some. So type me is assign the value of a new human. In initializing that variable using the new keyword, we have given that variable a value. We have just instantiated, or in other words, created a new object. And because we made this new object, we're allowed to access everything in it. We're allowed to refer to its contents. And in this case, the variables that we created. And that's why we didn't initialize the variables inside this class, because we want to change it in respect to what object we're talking about. Alright, so let me just go over what the new keyword does. So we just used a new keyword in today's video, and funny enough, it's the word new. So what it does is it tells Java that the object we are creating is an instance of a class. So the object me is an instance of the human object. It then evaluates the size of the object and prepares a block of memory for it to use. Simply put, we just use it to make objects. So now that we instantiated this object, let's initialize the values of the variables we made. And in order to access the variables, values, or method an object has to offer, we just use the dot operator. It is very simple. We just type the name of the object we will be using, then a period, then the value we want to access. So we've already used this with the system.out.println line method. So we type the object system, then in order to access everything that that class has to offer, we use a period, which is a dot operator, and then out, which is another object, and then we can access its contents by using the dot operator once again, by using another dot operator, and by using the dot operator we have access to its contents, and in this case the print line method. But in the case of this, we could do it by doing the following. Just type the name of the object we just created, so me, then use the dot operator, and then we could access name, age, and every variable that we just created. So for this example, let's just do name. So me.name. Now we have to initialize this variable, is assign the value of Michael, which is my name. Now, what I want you to do is to do this with the rest of the variables that we created in the human class. So do the same as following with hair color, eye color, age, weight, and intelligence quotient. Don't lie about it. And don't forget to use the dot operator. Now that we've assigned our me object all of our values, let's create another object and name it friend. And do the same thing you did with yourself. Instantiate the human class, name it friend, and then initialize all of its variables. So now that I'm assuming you've done that, let me go over what we did just one more time. We instantiated the human class and gave it an identifier or name, friend. Now we did this first by declaring the variable friend of data type human. And then we assign that the value of a new human object by using the new keyword followed by the human class and empty parentheses. Now because we did this, we could access the variables of human and initialize them in respect to the only object we just created. And in order to access those variables, we type the name of our object followed by a period, also known as a dot operator, to access its variables or methods or values. So we typed friend.name to initialize the name variable in the object friend. And my friend Alan, I just did that for him. And then his age is 17, his eye color is brown, his hair color is black, his intelligence quotient, he's pretty stupid, and his weight is 160. Alright, so now, this is the time where I give you an assignment and see if you can do it on your own. What I want you to do is to print out the information, starting with name, going all the way to weight for each of these people. For me, for yourself, and for one of your friends. The way I want you to do it is not by just typing system.out.println in the main method. What I want you to do is create a method in the human class so that it prints out. Now the reason you'd be doing this is, let's just say you had to do this for like 5 people. You'd be writing 5 times as much as you should have. Make the method in here that prints out all this information, and then call that method from the main class so it prints out everything to the console. Okay, so I'm assuming that you created the method, or you at least attempted to do so. So just in case, let me go over the method and show you what it does. So right here, we have me.displayAllInformation, followed by a system.out.println just to space the information in the console, followed by friend.displayAllInformation. In the human class, I created a method called displayAllInformation with empty parameters. And you know what that means? That means it doesn't take in any information. So let's go into the human class and see what this method does. Now we're in the human class, and you can see the method displayAllInformation. Now what this method does is it simply just prints out to the console all the information. So it says my name is, and then it concatenates the variable name, and it does the same with each and every variable that we created. So let's go back into the main class and see how we did it. So in order to call this method, we type the name of our object, followed by a dot operator, followed by the method that we just created. And what this method will do is only access the variables of the object from which it's being called. Now that you guys know how to make some objects by instantiating the class, do some on your own. Like, make an animal class and like give it variables like name, color, how many feet it has, if it has a tail or not, and then instantiate that class by like making new objects of that class for like a penguin, a tiger, a wolf, and then just initialize all those variables and then call it by creating a method that displays all the information. So that's the video, guys. Hope you guys learned something, and if not, just rewatch it or find other sources, or ask me in the comments below. I'll gladly answer all your questions. And don't forget to subscribe, because currently I'm making these videos and I have 0 subscribers, which is pretty funny. The only person watching my videos is myself, and somehow I've still managed to get 15 views on my first video. I guess that's quite narcissistic, isn't it? But in the next video, we're going to learn how to pass in information to objects. Now, as you know, we did this with methods, but when we do it with objects, we use something called a constructor. So that instead of typing out me.name, me.age, me.eyecolor, and initializing all those variables, we could just do that inside the parentheses right here to pass in information. And that just saves a lot of time, it's more efficient, and it makes the program much smaller. So, till next time, peace.